Hi everyone. Today we are diving into creating Webflow pages with external API data, which is essentially the process of dynamically pulling live information from an external source and seamlessly integrating it into your Webflow site. This technique allows you to build powerful, data-driven websites without manual content updates. Our goal here is to use Backend Services to easily create pages. To do this with Rapidomize, you can create a backend workflow and connect it to Webflow. Let's look at how we can set up and customize this process to simplify page creating for everyone. Let's see an example of retrieving data from a database and images from CDN. We will name it products and add column names and products data. We enter only the image file name under image column. Instead of manually adding data to the table, you can also add a CSV or JSON file via the Import CSV or JSON file button. Refresh the table to view the uploaded data. Let's create a folder for the images in our backend so Webflow can access them. Now we have to make an application entity for our API, which will be used when connecting Webflow to Rapidomize. We have to create an API token. We have to copy the app ID and the API token because they will be used in API authentication. Now we have to create the backend using an ICAP. Do not forget to copy the link in API Gateway because it will be useful later. After finishing, save and run the ICAP. In Webflow, you can either use the template given in the video description for making the page, or build your own card list using components like containers, card grids, images, headings, texts, and columns. In the Before Body Tag section and Custom Code section, you can either paste our code or use your own code for this. In our example, we have used the variables API URL, username, and password, which corresponds to the data we copied as link, app ID, and API token. The auth string is the basic authentication token we're going to use to connect to the backend. Following the construction of the authentication string, the code proceeds to execute the API call. It uses the JavaScript fetch function, supplying the API URL and configuring the request headers to include the newly created basic auth token and specifying that the content type is JSON. This initiates a request to the backend server. The return response is then processed through a chain of promises. First, it checks if the response was successful. If not, it throws an error to be caught later. If successful, it parses the response body as JSON. This parsed data, which is the list of products, is then passed into the showProducts function. The primary role of the showProducts function is to dynamically populate the web page with the product data received from the API. It begins by locating the container element for the product grid and a predefined placeholder card element that serves as an HTML template. This placeholder is removed from the container to prepare for new, dynamically generated content. The function then iterates over each product in the received list. For each product item, it creates a new card by cloning the placeholder template. It then systematically locates specific elements within this new card, such as the image, title, description, price, rating, and sold count, and updates their content with the corresponding values from the product data. For instance, it constructs the full image URL by combining a base CDN address with the image path from the API, and it formats the price with a $sign. Once a card is fully populated with data, it is appended to the product grid on the page. Finally, the getAllProducts function is set to execute automatically as soon as the web page finishes loading, ensuring the product grid is populated immediately upon the user's arrival. Click Save. Now your site is ready. You can preview the page by clicking the Preview button. You can now publish and view the Webflow page. Thank you for watching our tutorial. We hope you found it helpful.